These two ladies are a pair of New Zealand international level umpires, I think, who produce coaching videos for umpires on the rules of hockey. Most of the videos they produce are good, but I'm particularly unhappy with this one because it muddles and confuses two completely different offences.
We're going to look at body obstruction as well as third-party obstruction. So if we return to the rulebook, Kez, again, Rule 9.12, players must not obstruct an opponent who is attempting to play the ball. Players obstruct if they back into an opponent, physically interfere with the body of an opponent, shield with any part of their body, or if we talk about the third party.
I'll start off by being pedantic. Third-party obstruction is a body obstruction. The umpire here was not reading the rule out of the rule book or off a piece of paper, so can perhaps be forgiven for not quoting it accurately. But when coaching rule, it is important that the rule is quoted accurately. The explanation actually starts off by saying players obstruct if they back into or physically interfere with the body of an opponent. Backing into and physical interference are not the same thing. It is perfectly possible to back towards a player without touching them at all, just as you would back a car into a parking bay or into a garage without crashing it into the wall. The coaching given in this video concentrates almost exclusively on physical contact or physical interference and does not properly address the matter of backing into or shielding the ball from an opponent without physical contact. Both of these are also obstructions.
A player who runs in front of or blocks an opponent to stop them legitimately playing or attempting to play the ball is obstructing. This is a third party or shadow obstruction.
This is also a very good description of what we term obstruction without the third party tag added to it.
Alright, it's demonstration time. So what we have here is we have Kez being the attacker making her way into the circle. As the defender, I've come out and I've propped ready to make a tackle. In this instance, she has backed into me, which means it is my ball. In this situation, I have made the contact and I am backing into the defender. Therefore, it is a free hit to the defence and a 6.
For a hockey player, this is hard to watch. This is not dribbling with the ball, and that is not a tackle attempt, it's a block. Okay, let's accept the two ladies are not hockey players, but umpires. We need to look for the moment when an obstruction occurs. There.
In this situation, I am the attacker who has been effectively defended. Therefore, with wanting to go towards the goal, I have backed into the defender, shielding them with my body. In this situation, it is a free hit to the defence at the 16 mark as well. So with this backing in obstruction, we've demonstrated this around the circle. However, if it happens in the general field of play, it's just a free hit to the opposing team.
And let's look for the moment of obstruction again. There. Except, of course, there isn't really been a tackle attempt being made there. Players obstruct if they shield the ball from a legitimate tackle with their stick or body. I would much prefer that read shield ball to prevent a legitimate tackle with their stick or body, as it does in the umpire manager's briefing, where umpires are instructed to watch for movement which prevents a tackle attempt.
Alright, so let's move on to body obstruction. So
What? We've just been doing body obstruction.
a body obstruction is when an opponent makes any influence on the person in possession of the ball's body. Let's demonstrate. So what we have here is I'm the defence coming out of the circle and the attacker has come in to make a tackle and bumped me off the ball.
No, that is barging, a physical contact offence.
As this is a minor infringement, the decision is a free hit to the team who has control of the ball. If this was to happen inside the circle and the attackers had possession of the ball, it would be a penalty corner. So what we've just looked at is when the person without the ball causes the infringement. What we're going to look at now is when the person with the ball creates the issue. In this situation, Tara has control of the ball. Due to her pushing me off the ball, she has caused the obstruction. She has used her body to prevent me from making a legitimate tackle on the ball. In this situation, Tara has used her body to prevent me from playing the ball. Therefore, it would be a free hit to the person who does not have control of the ball. No matter.
Perhaps it's something to do with the way the rule is written, but I just cannot understand why these two ladies are mixing up a physical contact offence like barging or moving bodily into with an obstruction such as ball shielding. If this is a widespread view, it's no wonder that common obstructions simply don't get penalised.
What the angle? This is the same scenario as Tara using her body to prevent me from making a legitimate tackle. So it's important to remember the obstruction can also happen with a goalkeeper. If the ball becomes lodged in the goalkeeper's pads, this is an obstruction and therefore a penalty corner is awarded. However, a goalkeeper can also create a deliberate infringement by holding the ball down, preventing players from playing at the ball. This is a penalty stroke. In the situation where the ball becomes lodged in a goalkeeper, it is the attacker's responsibility to attempt to bring the ball out and play it at the net. If you can remove the ball cleanly from underneath the goalkeeper, it is play on. However, as an attacker, you cannot come through and hit the goalkeeper. That's right, so if you have illegitimately tried to play the ball whilst under the keeper, it's a free hit to the defence, therefore it would be a 16. So we've looked at backing in and body obstruction. We're now going to look at third-party obstruction. So the rule states a player who runs in front of or blocks an opponent to stop them legitimately playing or attempting to play the ball is obstructing. This is third-party or shadow obstruction. This also applies if an attacker runs across or blocks defenders, including the goalkeeper, or play with goalkeeping privileges when a penalty corner is being taken. So in summary, you cannot use your body to prevent legitimate playing of the ball from an opponent. It's important to remember that this can happen by the person in possession of the ball and also by the opponents.
The only real difference between third party and other obstruction is the distance from the ball.
So in summary, you cannot use your body to prevent legitimate playing of the ball from an opponent. It's important to remember that this can happen by the person in possession of the ball and also by the opponents.
The most recent amendment to the obstruction rule was not mentioned at all in the video. A player with the ball is permitted to move off with it in any direction except bodily into an opponent, which was there prior to 2009, and after 2009 was added, or into a position between the ball and an opponent who is within playing distance of the ball and attempting to play it. Putting that in the negative, a player is not permitted to move into a position between the ball and an opponent who is within playing distance of the ball and attempting to play it. That states a position between the opponent and the ball. It makes no mention whatsoever of physical contact.